Hello, Kidney Warriors! James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach. And this is Dadvice TV Live. I want to welcome everyone who's joining us tonight. And I see one of my great friends, Christmas. Hey, Christmas! Great to have you here for a live show. Now, for everyone who's new, and you're like, who the heck is this guy with all that energy? My name is James. I'm a kidney warrior. I was diagnosed with stage 5 kidney failure, told I need to go on dialysis. Well, the good news is those doctors were wrong. I worked with my healthcare team, a renal dietitian, all my doctors, got my blood pressure under control, got my blood sugar looking much better, started eating right, being more active, and focusing on my overall health. And as that started to get better, so did my labs for my kidney disease. Now, my kidneys are still shot. They haven't gotten any better, but my labs look fantastic, and I'm right on that border of stage 3 and stage 4. But more importantly, I feel great and have tons of energy, and I am not letting kidney disease stop me from doing the things that I love. Now, speaking of things that I love me some sweets. I love dessert. I love snacks. And on a renal diet, oh my goodness, it is difficult, or at least it has been, for me to walk past all those sweets and not try any of them. And I'll tell you, I have not had candy in so long. And tonight, we're going to talk about the best, yes, the best and the worst candies and chocolates for kidney patients, so I can stop walking past the candy aisle. Maybe I'll be able to tiptoe down and pick up a couple items. Ooh, we're going to find out tonight. But who are we going to find out from? We are going to find out from one of the best resources that you can go to find out what you can and can't eat, a renal dietitian. So I'd like everybody to welcome back. It feels like it's been so long because I started a new job. So I took some time off, getting my schedule all used to it and getting things all dialed in. But it feels like it's been way too long. Please welcome back. Give her lots of hellos. Great to see you. Jen Hernandez from PlantPowered Kidneys.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody. Good to be back again. And I'm always excited to be talking about candy, especially as we're getting into the holiday season and we're just a couple weeks away from Halloween. So it's really important that we talk about this now so that when you're shopping and you're planning, and if you sneak a few snacks or a few treats from your kids or your grandkids' bags, you're going to
And you
know
know
that you're
that
going to be
happens.
okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Jen Hernandez, and I am the dietitian founder behind PlantPowered Kidneys. So, PlantPowered Kidneys is a group of dietitians. We serve people privately in the US and internationally in our course, our 6-week course for PlantPowered Kidneys, which we're actually in week 5 already. It's been going by so fast, but we do have several options for people to learn from us, work with us at PlantPowered Kidneys. And we do have weekly articles that come out on the website at plantpoweredkidneys.com where you can learn a ton of information, get free content, free recipes, free downloads, all kinds of stuff on our website at plantpoweredkidneys.com. And then our other resource that we really love to recommend is our free Facebook group. So while we're on Facebook and Instagram for PlantPowered Kidneys, you can also join our private and safe space for people who want to follow a more plant-based diet for their kidney health. And you just go to Facebook and you search PlantPowered Kidneys, and our group will pop up. Just make sure that you answer the questions because we do screen everybody to make sure we keep bots and inappropriate people outside of the group. But it is a really wonderful place that people share recipes, pictures of their food to inspire you. And it's a lot of great questions and conversations that we have in the group. So we have a ton of resources for you to learn more about a plant-based renal diet.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, not everyone in there is plant-based. So if you're like me and you're like, oh, I can't go 100% plant-based, there's still great suggestions, positive support, and amazing recipes in the PlantPowered Kidneys Facebook group. And in the description below the video is a link to the blog with the information we're going to be talking about. So if we go a little too fast or you want to learn a little bit more later, make sure you check out Jen's blog about the best and worst chocolates and candies. Perfect timing with Halloween just over a week away, less than 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And bags of candy all over the place.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And also for plant-based, remember, I mean, to everybody out there, plant-based is a diet that is a foundation of plants. It doesn't mean vegan. It doesn't even mean vegetarian, but it means we talk about the fundamentals, the primary source of your diet, including plants. That's the big thing. And just like James said, not everybody is 100% plant-based. There are some that are 70% or 50% or 90%. It really depends on your situation. And we are not here to tell you what to do. Working privately with a dietitian, if you work one-on-one with a dietitian, that is who can tell you exactly what you should be doing. So working one-on-one will give you that exact answer for what you need to do. But in the group, hopefully it inspires you to try more plants and just learn more about how to include plants in a renal diet.
Yeah, and it was quite a journey for me going from plants just being a burger topping to now plants being a huge part of my diet. And that played a big role in helping me to focus on my health and get healthy. Now, let's go away from health. And we're going to ask first a question that I was shocked when I read this as we were preparing for the show. Is candy okay for kidney patients? Because I thought it was a no.
Yeah, and there's some articles out there that kind of get me heated when I see their like list of don't haves, and I'm thinking, why? Like, what's your reason for that? My feeling, my belief in this is that yes, it can fit into the diet. I'm not talking about including it every single day, every single meal, all the time. What I'm saying is it's not going to be a couple pieces of candy that totally derail everything you've been doing for your kidney health. Having a little fun size bag of something is not going to change your labs. It's really what you're doing day to day, meal to meal, meds to meds that impact your kidney the most. So just like we talk about how there are some better options for fast food, I'm not saying go out to eat all the time. I'm just saying when you do have limited options, these are some things that could be better for you and that can still kind of keep you in that range. So we'll talk more about exactly those candies, like what we want to focus on, what we want to be careful of. But in general, yes, you can have a few pieces of candy and it's totally going to be fine. You're not going to totally break apart all of the things you've been working on.
See, those are the types of things I think most people do not realize they will learn from a renal dietitian. You're not going to hear no. You're going to hear, okay, this one you got to eat less. This one, here's how we're going to work it in, which is just so amazing. Now, when I think when I think of candy, I think of sugar. How much candy is okay? Because I know as you mentioned, I can't be going to get me that great big giant bag of Reese peanut butter cups like I used to when I was a teenager, opening it up and eating it while I watch a movie.
Yeah, there is, like I said, there is a boundary to what's okay, and we're not talking about going off the deep end. So when you want to indulge, it's important to keep in mind of that portion and knowing that there are certain guidelines. So with candy, we know comes sugar. And there are recommendations for how much sugar you want to limit in your diet per day. In general, the American Heart Association recommends limiting to 6 teaspoons per day for women or 9 teaspoons per day for men. That turns out to 24 grams for women, or 36 grams for men. So 1 teaspoon equals 4 grams of sugar, which is like a sugar cube is 4 grams of sugar, or most like regular sugar packets are 4 grams of sugar. So when you're looking at like a food label, for example, and I like to pick on sodas, even though it's not candy.
I was just doing the math. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, some of them are really, really high. So if you're thinking, okay, as a woman, I should keep to under 24 grams of sugar per day, some of those like 20-ounce bottles can have 50 plus grams of sugar in there. So that would be like double how much sugar I should have per day. So
Ooh.
that would be a less healthy option. But in some of the candies we'll talk about, there are options that are better for you and still fit in these guidelines. So keep that in mind. However, it's easy for you. The reason we do like the teaspoon and gram exchange is some people like to add sugar to their coffee. So if you're measuring out how much sugar you're putting in there, or if you're looking at your creamer or something like that that has added sugar, that's another thing to consider because we're talking about the added sugar throughout the day. And there can be added sugar, like I said, in your coffee creamers. There can be added sugar in condiments, like ketchup has added sugar. A lot of them do. There can be added sugar in breads. There can be added sugar in yogurts. I mean, salad dressings, like so many different things.
Hmm.
So it can be pretty eye-opening once you understand how much you should be kind of keeping to. If you start checking, just kind of spot checking of what's going on in your kitchen, in your pantry, in your cupboards. This is something that we do in the Plant Powered Kidneys course nearly every week is I send my students out on assignment to go be a detective of their pantry, of their kitchen, and they need to go find whatever it is we're talking about. So in this case, going into your pantry and looking for added sugar. So not just
Hmm.
sugar on the nutrition label, but added sugar, because something like fruit has natural sugar in it. They're
Yep.
not adding sugar into an apple, but it does have natural sugar in it. So if you have like dried apples, see if it has added sugar or if it's just natural sugar. There's a difference. So added sugar, again, is what we're limiting here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, reading the labels, the label on the back is so important because I've
Hmm.
actually, my wife a lot of times she'll buy something and say, "Hey, look at this, no added sugar," and you flip it around, it's just loaded. Yeah, they didn't put anything more; it already had plenty in it.
Right, right. So it's something that was just naturally sweet, so they could talk about, oh, it's great. It's like seeing a salad bag and it says cholesterol free. It's like, well, yeah, no, duh, there's no cholesterol in these foods, but they just want to market and they want to promote it, and it makes you think that you can get away with some things when that's not always the case. So it's important to read those labels and it's important to look for added sugars in the diet.
Yep, and on your website, I'm going to bring up a picture from the blog. Let's see, boop, there we go. Um, you show some of the sugar in a few things that I wouldn't even have thought I could fit into my diet. Um, I love these Tootsie Pops. Let me see if I can get my
Hmm.
mouse on that. Yes, I love these Tootsie Pops. Oh my goodness. 11 grams. It's not low sugar,
But
but
it fits.
I can make it fit. Yeah. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
won't have a an ice cream sundae or something or a caramel apple or won't put my hands in my kids' Halloween bag that first night. I'm so bad at that, especially if they have those big giant Hershey candy bars. It's a perfect rectangle. For some reason, if it's in perfect shape, oh, I just love to open it up and have it. So I just break it, and then I don't
Hmm.
want to open it because I'm like,
There
oh, it's
you
broken. To me, it changes the taste if it's broken.
Interesting.
it's
Yeah, well, I
it's
think the
it's
Tootsie
up
Pop,
here.
yeah, it is. It is. But that happens with a lot of food. I know we've talked about that in other conversations too, that there's a lot of other connections that we have with food. But I mean,
Mhm.
I think the Tootsie Pop is a really good option because a hard candy like that, it's not something that you're going to eat very quickly. It takes more time, and that helps you enjoy it for a longer period of time. And then by the time you finish it, there's less likely of a chance that you'll go back for more because you just spent 10 minutes or whatever enjoying your Tootsie Pop. Whereas some candy, you could devour it pretty quickly and then move on to the next.
Oh, you give me those Skittles. That's a handful of Skittles.
Those fun size, yeah. But so 11 grams of sugar just in the fun size. So again, if you are at the checkout counter at the grocery store and you're contemplating getting candy, before you actually put it down for checkout, flip it around, look at the back, and just take a look at how much added sugar is there. So if you're a woman keeping 24 grams per day, for a man, it's 36 grams per day. It's probably going to be over that if the fun size bag is already about half to a third of the way there.
Okay, so What are some kidney-friendly candies that we may want to consider enjoying on our diet?
So, my big umbrella generalization to start is think of, well, the picture that you just showed. Think of all of like the fruity candies. Think of the ones that are like colorful, that have a lot of pop to them, that kind of stand out. The fruity candies are a really easier option because they're going to have the sugar. Yes, it's candy that's going to
Mhm.
have it, but it's not going to have as much potassium or phosphorus in it. And that can be an issue in some other areas. So your fruity candies, like we talked about, those hard candies, like hard, the lollipops or the hard sucker candies, Jolly Ranchers, anything like that. Even like those Werther's candies,
Oh, I
those
love
will take,
those.
and they take
Oh.
longer. So you're not going to have a ton of them because it's more time consuming to have them. You can do the gumdrops, you can do jelly beans, you can do hot tamales, like those
Oh.
cinnamon candies. You can do even sour candies, which I love recommending. That's probably like my number one choice for people with CKD, especially for people who need to be careful with fluids. If you're on a fluid restriction, sour candy can help with that saliva generation and help kind of satisfy that thirst that you have. So sour candies can be a really nice helper with fluid restrictions. Otherwise, you saw the peeps, the marshmallow candies, even like toffee and caramels, but you do want to be careful with those because they can be a little bit higher in the phosphorus or Mm, sometimes phosphorus, sometimes potassium, but because if they're made from like creams and milks, so it'll be a little bit more of those, but it's still not that much. And that's something that I saw on one article, another article from a bigger company that was saying don't
Mhm.
have caramel. And I looked up the nutrition information and it was like nothing. It was so negligible. So if you had a few pieces of caramel,
Oh.
it's totally fine. It's not going to be the end of the day. Any of these, it doesn't even matter about the potassium and phosphorus. If you were to enjoy a ton of these candies, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for anybody. So when we're talking about enjoying some of them, I think the toffee and caramels totally fit in that category. And caramels can kind of take a little while to eat anyway. So why not?
Exactly. Yeah, even the crafts, the little square craft caramel.
Hmm.
Oh, I used to love those cubes. My mom used to melt them, and we would make caramel
Hmm.
apples, and then whatever dried in the pan, I could peel out and just, that was good. But even those, they're small and they last so long if you're not trying to just chew them all down. Great to suck on them, and they coat your mouth and give. At
Hmm.
least for me, they're very satisfying. Matter of fact, I enjoy those several times a week. I recently bought a
Okay.
bag of them because I was like, I miss caramel apples because I love apples.
Yeah.
And actually, now I think
Yeah.
about it, I could make a caramel apple. Just don't go crazy with the caramel.
Absolutely. If you kept it limited, if you had it just a couple pieces and then you melted it and split it for an entire apple, I mean, that could be a really nice snack that you're having a little bit of the candy to satisfy that sweet tooth, but you know you're getting a lot of nutrients from that apple, like the fiber and everything.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really great way to balance it out. And that also helps with controlling your blood sugar spikes. If you just had candy, that could spike up your blood sugars more. But if you pair it with something else, that can help slow everything down. So that's a really, really good idea.
Aha, very good. I'm gonna bring out. I'm scrolling through your blog. There's a great picture here. Oh, for everyone who's like, oh, I miss candy, colorful candy. Yeah, there they are. Oh, the marshmallow candies. I love these
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
and those are a kidney-friendly option. So again, if this is something that you want to enjoy every now and then, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. I don't say have it all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
don't beat yourself up for having a little bit of it. I was talking with a group of dietitians about this and how there's this idea where if the old school renal diet, if we just kept saying no, 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 it becomes all you think about and you're like, but I want it and I really want this. And the more that you create like a mental barrier of I can't have this, the more it becomes all you fixate about. And once you realize you can have some, it kind of releases this power over you of thinking, oh, it's there. And if I want it, I could have it. But then you kind of get to check in like, is it something I really want? Like, is it something I really enjoy? And is it worth it for me to have it? I like jelly beans. I'm not really crazy about jelly beans, There's some that
Yeah,
I
me
think are
neither.
really nasty. Yeah, so it's not gonna be something I could have it if I wanted, but I don't like it. I don't really care for it, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. But cinnamon candy, I
Oh,
like
yes.
those. So that would
Oh.
be something that I would enjoy.
You know, it's funny. When you mentioned hard candies earlier, I thought about what my grandpa used to always have. He loved the
Oh,
hard
yeah.
candies, usually the round kinds. But
Mhm.
in this picture here, you have a little Jolly Rancher. I didn't think about those. Those things last forever.
Exactly, exactly, and that's what makes them such a good kidney option because you can't take a handful of Jolly
No,
Ranchers
no. Your
and
teeth would all fall out if you
pretty
could.
much. Yeah, exactly. So that would be a better option for you, but, it comes down to what you really enjoy and you don't need to have it if you don't want to, it's just the options are there if you want them.
Yep. Awesome. Now, what candies should I maybe be a little weary of? Maybe the ones I should stay away of, avoid, um, or rarely ever add to my treats.
Yeah, there are some that I'm gonna say are probably best reserved for like really random times or maybe not at all, depending on your own health situation and if you think it's worth having. So the peanut butter candies. So I know that's a big favorite for a lot of people, but they tend to be higher in potassium and phosphorus and also really high in sugar as well. So be careful about a lot of those peanut butter, like chocolate peanut butter kinds. Be careful with chocolate covered candies. So, like chocolate covered raisins, even though it's like, oh, it's a fruit and they just put chocolate on it. We know that dried fruit is higher in potassium because it's more condensed. So, it can be pretty high in potassium, especially if you're having like a box of Raisinets or something. That can be a lot of potassium and is not going to be very kidney friendly for everybody. Plus, it still has a ton of sugar. Dried fruit still has sugar,
Mm,
and then they're covering it with more sugar. So,
yeah.
you got to be careful with those. Even chocolate covered nuts and things like that, again, every now and then is fine. And we do know there are some nuts that are better than others. We've
Mhm.
had our conversation about the potassium in nuts, but you still want to be careful because they are higher in potassium compared to those other kidney friendly candies that we talked about. And then finally, the one that I'm the most like honestly surprised about is peanut brittle. And the
Ooh.
reason that brittle is something to be really cautious about is it can be really high in salt. I'm talking like 450 milligrams of sodium.
And I'm
It's
guessing a
really,
serving
really
is
high.
pretty small when it comes to peanut brittle. Because I used to just down that stuff. A box of it was a serving to
Right.
me.
Right. They don't really have like, at least not that I've seen. And if somebody who's watching has seen it, please let us know. But they don't really have like fun size peanut brittle containers. It's just like a big tin of peanut brittle or something like that. So the nutrition information that we look at is in a 100-gram or 3.5-ounce serving. So that's basically like the weight equivalent of a regular candy bar, basically. So it's a lot of sodium. I mean, that is in some cases that can be close, not exact, but close to like a meal's worth of sodium.
Ooh. My
Yeah.
mom posted, I guess no potato candy. Oh, one of my favorite candies. If anyone out there does not know what potato candy is, it's from the Great Depression. I had a great grandma, Pearl, who made potato candy. Then all my other grandparents down made potato candy. It's pretty much potatoes, powdered sugar, peanut butter. That's pretty much it.
I mean,
You roll it and make a
may
log.
I suppose if you double boil the potatoes to get rid of some of the potassium, but then yeah, with the peanut butter as well,
There's a
it would
lot of
probably be a
sugar.
fairly high potassium and high sugar because the sugar is going to be counteracting or compensating for the potato to make it flavored into a candy flavor. So it's probably going to be pretty high in sugar.
Yeah. Now, since you said peanut brittle, where does Reese peanut butter cups fall? Because that is everyone I know. That is their favorite thing to take from their kids at Halloween.
I know. That is in the category of like the peanut butter candies. So looking at just a like a one peanut butter cup, not the fun size. Let me see if I can get okay, one miniature. I pulled up the nutrition information.
Okay, now a
Um,
miniature is like the size of the tip of my thumb. It's
right.
nothing.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go off of one regular cup then.
Yeah, cup.
Okay. So one regular cup has 58 milligrams of potassium, which in of itself isn't terrible.
Yeah.
It's a little bit higher in like the candy realm, looking at those nutrition. So, and again, like you said, it's something that a lot of people enjoy. I don't know too many people who limit themselves to just one. So if they have both of them, that's 154 milligrams of potassium, which counts as a low potassium food, but you're
But it's
getting
not a food,
21
it's a
grams of sugar.
snack.
Yeah, it's
So
a treat. It's a dessert. I
here's
mean,
how I limit myself to one. I freeze them.
there you go.
They are
And I think they
delicious frozen.
And they have the Reese's, they have the thins out. I haven't tried them. I've heard of them. I think I saw them from another dietitian. So
Reese's Thins.
they
Ooh.
have the Reese's thins, and I let me see if I can find it. So the potassium in there for three pieces of the thins is 100 milligrams of potassium. So,
That's not
18 grams of
bad.
sugar. So it's a little bit less than
Yeah.
the regular ones, but still 18 grams of sugar. For a woman having to limit to 24, that's the majority. You have to be really careful about
Yeah.
other added sugar throughout the day. So something to consider. Again, it's just some of them are pretty high.
Yeah. Now, someone had asked about black licorice, and we've talked a little bit about it. And I know a lot of candies do not use real black licorice, they just use a flavoring.
Mhm.
I completely avoid real black licorice. I actually love it, and I used to eat it, get a big old bag of like Australian
Ugh.
real black licorice, and I would eat the whole bag and I would get sick.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of black licorice. I think licorice is one of those things where either you love it or you hate it. It's a
It's an
very
acquired
divisive
taste. It's like
type of food.
coffee.
I guess I don't love it, so it's easy for me to say get rid of it, don't include it. So black licorice, for those that don't know, it can affect your potassium and your blood pressure, so it's not advised. Real black licorice, which this goes honestly beyond even just like the candies, but
Mhm.
I've done a lot of talks and answered questions about like teas. That's a big thing. There's a lot
Yeah.
of teas out there that they may not say that they have licorice on the front of it. Like I was looking at a ginger tea not too long ago, and it had licorice listed on the back. So you want to
Oh.
be careful about a lot of your foods and products having licorice in them because licorice is not recommended. It's just can be harmful for your potassium and your blood pressure.
Yeah. Now, what about many of us are diabetic or diabetic, so we gotta limit our sugar. And
Hmm.
what about those sugar-free candies? Because they're everywhere
Yeah, so some
now.
people, right. And some people think, oh, well, if I can only have, 24 grams of sugar, then I can do 24 grams of regular sugar and then like unlimited or even more of the sugar-free candy. The thing is while sugar-free candy can fit into the renal diet, it can fit into the renal diabetic diet, they often use a added sugar, but it's a sugar alcohol. So it's like
Mhm.
erythritol. If you look at the ingredients and you see a an ingredient with the OL at the end, that's usually code for an added sugar. So the thing with beet or sugar alcohol, and while it doesn't provide the actual sugar, it can provide other problems like GI distress. So some people can experience bloating, constipation, or diarrhea if they have too much sugar alcohols, especially in one sitting. So if you just like ate a bunch of sugar-free candy, you might have a stomach ache later because your body is trying to get through the sugar alcohols that can create bloating and gas and an upset stomach. So you want to be really careful. And The sugar-free candies, they still can increase the risk of developing diabetes. It's not a get out of jail free card. It still can have an effect, so it's still something to be really mindful of and be careful with.
Yeah. Now, one little trick when it comes to the sugar-free candies that I use, and this is not a trick that I'm encouraging people to try, but you guys who have done it know it, the sugar-free gummy bears. If you're ever constipated, it doesn't take but a couple of them. And
Mm.
that abdominal discomfort goes into overdrive. And oh my good, I don't know what kind of sugar substitute they're using in those. But if you ever need a good laugh, go onto Amazon, look up sugar-free gummies, and read the reviews. Hilarious. As people are describing it.
Oh my gosh, it's actually a Google search term. You start typing it in and it'll pull that up. Oh
Yes, the
wow.
words
Okay.
explosive come in a
Yes.
lot of the reviews. Now, so we've been talking a lot about the kind of the typical candies. What
Uh-huh.
about chocolate, which is, oh, I love chocolate. My dad was in the military. We lived in Germany for a while. Got to have some really good chocolate. I love Hershey's chocolate, just a regular milk chocolate. If it's in a perfect bar, open that puppy up, and it's just so crispy and it snaps. Oh, I'm in heaven. And that's my
Yeah.
my kryptonite, my weakness, is those
Mm.
Hershey bars. Are you gonna break my heart about chocolate?
Well, it kind of falls into the same category of it can fit, but you want to be careful. And even so, there's different types of chocolate. Like you were just talking about milk chocolate, but
Mhm.
there's also white chocolate, there's dark chocolate.
Oh,
So, depending on maybe your preference, but then also there's certain characteristics of the different ones that might benefit you more or less. So, in the article, I have a comparison to show the difference between white and milk and dark chocolate. And in there, we look at how there's different potassium levels or different phosphorus levels, and there's different oxalate levels. So for people who have calcium oxalate stones, chocolate is often something to be advised against because it's high in oxalate. White chocolate, of all those categories, phosphorus, potassium, oxalate, white chocolate is the lowest in all of
awesome.
those.
Because I like
It,
white
yeah,
chocolate.
so
I was
it
worried you
can
were
be
going
a
to say
better
dark
option.
chocolate was the way to go because that one I can't stand. It's
Well,
hard.
the thing about dark chocolate, while it does have it has more potassium, it has more phosphorus, it's definitely higher in oxalates. The thing that dark chocolate has is fiber. It also has antioxidants because of the cocoa percentage. It has a higher amount of cocoa, which is what classifies it to be more beneficial for some of those, when people say dark chocolate is good for you, it's because of that concentration of the flavonoids and the antioxidants, all those good components of chocolate that in milk and white chocolate aren't there in enough quantity. There's a lot of sugar in those, but not as much of those benefits.
Now, there's a lot, or is there a lot of potassium in chocolate?
Well, the white chocolate is going to be the lowest in potassium.
Yep.
And if we're looking at 1 ounce servings, so that like a regular chocolate
That's a
bar is about
lot.
three. Yeah, I mean, it's a regular chocolate bar is about 3.5 ounce servings or 3.5 ounces. So like a third of a chocolate bar. White chocolate is 81 milligrams of potassium. Milk chocolate is just over 100 milligrams of potassium, and then dark chocolate is 161 milligrams of
Ooh.
potassium. So it's, from white to dark, it's double the potassium. Dark still does count, and there's more benefits in of it. So for a lot of my clients, the ones that want to include chocolate in their diet, if their labs are looking good, I tend to lean towards recommending a little bit of the dark chocolate rather than white. Another benefit with dark chocolate, if you ever take time to eat real dark chocolate, and I mean over like 70% or higher, so like the Hershey's Special Dark, I don't think it counts. I don't think it's over
I'm trying to
70.
smile, pretending of eating it. Mm.
Oh, I see. I'm a dark chocolate fan. Like I can do the dark intense stuff. And that's another type of food. Like we talked about the hard candies. It doesn't take very much to be satisfying. That can
Mhm.
be the case for dark chocolate too. Like just a little bit because it's so, I guess, potent or powerful in
Yes.
the flavor that it just a little bit goes a long way. So again, even though it's higher in potassium, if you did 2 or 3 ounces of white chocolate, you could be getting just as much, if not more, potassium compared to the dark chocolate without the benefits, without the fiber, and getting, just more of the things that you're trying to be careful with.
Now, what about phosphorus?
That's another one that falls right in line at the same groups as well. So the white chocolate has the lowest cocoa. It's going to be the lower in phosphorus, but the chocolate bars still use milk and cream, and those have phosphorus in them. So a 1 ounce serving of white chocolate is about 50 milligrams of phosphorus, and dark chocolate is about 87 milligrams of phosphorus per ounce. So if you had 2 ounces of white chocolate, you're having more of the phosphorus than the 1 ounce of dark chocolate would give you.
Aha, and I just found you have a chart with graphics on the blog. I'm gonna bring that up here.
Yes.
Boom. Yeah, I don't think
Yep.
I could ever eat 1 ounce of dark chocolate in 24 hours. give me give me 2.4 seconds. I can get that milk chocolate down.
Yeah, and see, for me, I love the dark chocolate, but milk chocolate, I have no desire for it. I have no interest. Maybe white chocolate every now and then, but milk chocolate is totally something I'll see, and I won't need to eat because it's not my thing.
Yeah, and boy, that the difference in oxalates is huge compared to dark
Hmm.
chocolate.
It is, yeah. So that is one exception for people who have calcium oxalate, specifically calcium oxalate stones, or if you need to limit your oxalates for any reason, the dark chocolate would be something to not have because it's so much higher than the other chocolate options.
Yeah, and we have someone that says, I love 100% cocoa unsweetened chocolate.
Ooh,
Congratulations. I don't know how you do it.
that's intense. That is very intense. And something to keep in mind, the more of that cocoa, the more of the cacao that's in there, the higher phosphorus, the higher potassium, because that's where a lot of the nutrients are coming from as well. So keep that in mind. If the higher percentage, you want to be really careful. The cocoa powder can be pretty high in those nutrients. But like we just said, it's harder to get through any amount of that. So usually you're going to be using less anyway.
So, Halloween's coming. I've got 2 kids. They're going to get tons and tons of candy,
Hmm.
lots of it sitting around. Um, I can't do the Jimmy Kimmel trick and tell them that I ate it all the next morning and record them crying. I did do that once. I felt so bad. My daughter was crying so much because she thought I ate all her candy. So I
Oh.
had to tell her, no, Jimmy Kimmel is who told me to do it. But having all this candy around the house, I mean, they're going to get
Hmm.
6 months worth of candy. And that's just temptation. And it's easy to think, oh, I'll have one Reese peanut butter cup. I'll have one of these, one fun size. And all of a sudden, that 6 months of candy is gone in a week. What
Hmm.
are some ideas or suggestions to help us in not consuming 6 months of chocolate in the week after Halloween, as it's all laying around us calling our name?
Right. And not to mention, we're about to get into other holidays that also
Exactly.
have a lot of candy. So it's not like we're going to be short on candy anytime soon. So, first of all, both of us talked about the candies that we like and the candies that we're like, oh, I could really take or leave it. That can be the first thing that you do is with your kids, have them go through and decide what they want and what they don't want. If they're like, ew, this candy's gross, put it in a different bag, put it in a different container, and you can donate that candy. You can take it to a nursing home, you could take it to a
Oh,
food
good
bank,
one.
you can give it to other people who it could be really nice for them to enjoy. Even if it's not like the greatest candy, it's still a really nice thing to do, and you're sharing it with somebody else, not keeping in the house because it could be something where maybe you're not crazy about that candy, but it's just sitting there and looking at you and looking at you
Mm.
and looking at you, and then you're like, fine, I'm going to eat it, but you don't care for it. You don't enjoy it and you eat it because it's there. Just get it out of the house. So you can donate your candy to somebody else and let them enjoy it. Another thing we've talked about before, something that you've done, James, is use some candy for homemade yogurt bark.
Yes. Oh, that was awesome. I
Yeah.
used I use candy? I think I did it once with peppermint, and then I did it once with frozen strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, stuff like that. But oh, that was so easy to make.
Yeah. So you can just take any kind of candy and chop it up so you have smaller pieces of it and then sprinkle it across. So we talk about like different yogurts that work. You can do a plant-based yogurt. We love almond yogurt or coconut-based yogurt. So you just put that across a sheet pan, usually with parchment paper or tinfoil or something down first, and then sprinkle that chopped up candy across the yogurt and freeze it. And then when it comes out, you want to kind of break it up pretty quick because the yogurt is going to get soft fairly fast if you hold on to it for too long. But then you have a homemade yogurt bark and you're distributing that candy with other things. And then you can add other toppings, like we talked about, adding some fiber to help with the blood sugar control. So you could sprinkle some chia seeds on there. You could do like a nice, like a little bit of melted peanut butter, or you could do a little bit of like granola or something. So nuts, you could do chopped nuts. There's plenty of options to help kind of give more flavor and texture to that homemade bark. But that can be a super easy, and it's a fun thing to do with the kids or the grandkids too.
Exactly. I when I did it with my kids, I made some to make sure I did it right. It came out right, and then they did it. And I remember they were like practically painting with the
Yeah.
stuff, trying to make patterns and stuff to freeze. And then we break it all up, and we got it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's something you can't mess it up. You really can't. It's just super easy.
Awesome. What are some other suggestions?
So as I mentioned, of course, using it in a way that you're bringing other nutrients in with your treat can be really helpful. So making a trail mix, that can be a really quick and easy thing to do.
Ooh, and I saw
I
your
have
recipe
There we
here.
go. Yeah, I was gonna say. So we use the candy corn and the Skittles, but then we pair it with some cereal, some dry cereal, and the cereal provides extra texture, whole grains, some fiber, and then those pumpkin seeds also provide some more fiber and nutrients as well. And even at the bottom, I have the different portions out, and I don't have the nutrition information here, but I know we've posted, we've posted this on social media before, and it fits into a renal diet really easily. And it helps again spread out the use of the candy into something that makes a little bit more sense.
Yes, I like that. I love trail mix. Great for road trips.
Hmm.
I leave out the candy corn. I never got into candy corn.
Oh no.
Even with peanuts, that's the only way I can eat it with some peanuts. But it quickly gets old tasting to
Yeah.
me. It's like, okay, I've had a handful. That's half a handful too much.
So there you go. That would be an example of a candy that you would donate instead of
Mhm.
incorporate.
Yes, though it would be safe around the house because that one, a few pieces, and then I have all the willpower for the rest of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Okay, another one kind of along the lines with the sour candy we were talking about is those hard candies can really be a nice thing to keep a stash. So keep it in your purse, keep some in your car, depending on your temperature and your weather, but keep some on hand for dry mouth because a lot of times side effects of medications will include dry mouth, or if you're on that fluid restriction, having some hard candy to help with saliva production and to reduce the need for drinking more fluids, that can be super helpful. So that's one that I think is easy to keep on hand. And if it's something that you still enjoy and you know you're not going to go crazy with, again, you're not going to pop a whole handful of hard candy. It's going to take time. So that would
Hmm.
be something that you can enjoy.
Yep. And then you can always, you mentioned donating to the nursing homes. We can also donate for the troops, which is great. They
Yeah,
can use everything we can do to help show our support, especially if they're overseas. I
exactly.
loved when I was a kid getting American candy.
Yeah, and that's always really nice. I don't say too much about this in a lot of social media, but my husband's in the military, so for when he's gone, it's nice. I know that they enjoy getting things from back home, and it just helps them feel more connected. So the treats for troops is always a really fun way to do that, to to contribute, and that you know that they're going to be appreciative of what you're sending over. So another great way to donate candy, get it out of the house, and help brighten somebody else's day.
Yep. And then what about, don't some dentists have programs? Like, first of all, you'd think they would love candy because it can lead to cavities, more
I know,
business,
right?
or more visits. But I'm pretty sure I've seen things about dentists on the news taking candy or doing something with it.
Yeah, and it's actually, the more I've kind of learned about it, it's not even limited just to dentist's office. It's a lot of local businesses that do this. But basically, it's Halloween candy buyback, that you can take away some of the extra candy. You know, you have your kids have some, or you have your grandkids have some, then you take the rest and they will buy it back. And it's a great incentive for them being able to use it in other aspects, in other fairs and donation services and things like that. So I have a link on the blog article where you can learn more and find out where locally is able to participate for that candy buyback.
Oh, my kids would probably do that, especially if they could get like a toy or something instead.
Right?
And
Exactly.
and their dental bills were not, my daughter's in braces. She's only had them for
Mm,
about 4 months. Uh, I, I, dentists could cost a lot, so I'm going to be
yeah.
very careful with their teeth. And they're good at brushing, but I'm going to definitely try to get them a little less candy.
Yeah. And I mean, I know my niece, every Halloween, she gets a stomach ache because she eats so much candy. She just doesn't have that stop in her yet. But you know, it's something that you can learn, and that you realize, if I eat too much, I'm gonna get sick. And I even remember her last time I visited her, she said she wanted more, and my sister was like, "Well, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen if you eat more?" And she said, "I'm gonna get a tummy ache." And she knew if she did it, that would happen. So we learn. It just takes a little bit of time, a little trial and error. But it's a thing to understand of, is it worth feeling sick over? And
Hmm.
chances are it's probably not. I don't think I would ever say yes to anything if I was going to get sick with it later.
So I'll tell you, I'm that person that I would know if there was a time where I knew opening up that bag of candy, I was going to eat it all and feel sick for the rest of the day, but I still did it.
Oh, yeah, I can't. I've had those times, but I've definitely learned from those.
Yeah, now as an adult with my kidneys, I won't do it, but even before, just before my kidneys, I'm pretty sure I ate too much candy and got where you just feel awful for an entire
Hmm.
day. And I knew it was
Hmm.
coming and I would still do it. Now,
Sometimes just trial and error.
let's see if we got any questions from anybody who is watching. Hopefully, you guys have learned a ton of great news. I was very excited to hear yay on the. I love white chocolate and milk chocolate. I can limit those. And I think a Hershey's bar is only 1.78 ounces. It's very thin, the milk chocolate one. For some reason,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
thinking it's 1.78. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Maybe so. I don't know. I know that we look at the 100 gram, which is 3.5 ounces, and it can be different. Now I'm gonna have to go take a look at it too.
Not that
Yeah,
I'm planning to.
1.45.
Oh yes, look at that. It's not that bad. I just love
Yeah.
that straight, crisp chocolate candy bar, and then you just
Do you know?
snap it. It makes a little snap.
Yeah. Do you know how many grams of sugar is in a bar?
Okay, I'm gonna guess 34.
No? You're not you're not correct.
I'm
It's
too high.
22. No, no. Yeah, you're too high.
Okay.
It's 22 grams. So for a woman, that would be the
Yeah.
cap basically. For men, that would be close to the cap. It's 170 milligrams of potassium.
Yeah. So actually, so I thought I was doing good because it weighs less, but actually now it's like, okay, so I'm getting less, but more sugar. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. You can't eat that candy bar and be full for 80% of the day because you ate 80% of your sugar in it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the trade-off.
Now, here's a question I wanted to see if you could answer for
Okay.
Valora. Valora asked, "What is a binder?"
So, okay, a binder is a medication that is prescribed by your doctor, and it is used to bind or to grab onto phosphorus. And this is something that people take with their meals and their snacks in most cases, where they need to lower or be careful with their phosphorus levels. So, if you have high phosphorus levels, like above 5.5, that might be the time where your doctor talks with you about taking a phosphorus binder to prevent your phosphorus from getting higher. And, we talked about chocolate and that has phosphorus. So for somebody who is on phosphorus binders, they may say, oh, I'm going to have chocolate, but I need to take my phosphorus binder with it 100%. And you really do want to follow your phosphorus binder prescription because it's what your doctor is going off of. One, because when he looks at your lab, he's going to be able to tell, or she's going to be able to tell if that is the right dose, if it's the right medication for you, which is super, super important. I would talk a lot with my clients about more autonomy and taking control of if they understand where phosphorus is in their diet, they might need extra binders. But that's something that you want to talk with your dietitian or with your doctor about to see if you do need to take more binders. It's kind of like a ratio, or I know a way a lot of dietitians talk about it is it's like a sponge. And when you're using a sponge, it can only hold so much water before you have to go wring it out. And that's basically the binder is the sponge. And it can only grab onto so much phosphorus before it's got to go get rid of the phosphorus. And it gets rid of the phosphorus through your bowel movements. That's how it processes it without absorbing the phosphorus into your body.
Awesome. Luckily, I am not at the point where I need to use binders. Woo! But when it comes, if I get to that point, I will definitely take them exactly as prescribed because if you don't, I've learned they don't work.
They don't. And it's really, really, phosphorus is a long-term problem. It's not something that all of a sudden you're just going to see issues with. It could be high for a while and you feel fine and everything's hunky dory. And then all of a sudden you have a finger that has to be amputated, or you are losing your vision, or you have a skin lesion and it won't heal. I mean, there's a lot of issues with phosphorus. I had one of my worst horror stories is when we had a patient at our dialysis clinic who got called in for a transplant, for a kidney transplant, but woke up without a new kidney because his arteries around his kidney were so calcified. They were so hardened from years of high phosphorus, they couldn't put the new kidney in. And so he woke up thinking he had a kidney transplant, but he didn't. And that was really heartbreaking. So phosphorus is a long-term thing that you want to pay attention to and take care of. And for people who are in the Plant Powered Kidneys course, we're talking about phosphorus this next week. So don't worry, we're going to be covering it.
Very good. Now, Will is new to all this kidney disease stuff. Will, you're in the right place. He asked, what about chocolate sugar-free pudding?
So pudding in a big, like without looking at specific brands and nutrition information, pudding is typically really high on the do not eat list for the renal diet because it's super high in phosphorus, and it's very acidic. It's very acidic. And I think, James, do you remember when we did our talk about prowl and we had that big
Yes.
list and pudding was on there? I want to say it was. I probably have to bring up my own article to verify. Um, but I'm pretty sure pudding was like pudding 85 positive prowl score. It was
Oh, yeah,
way,
yeah,
way
yeah,
up
yeah,
there.
yeah. I remember that's really big because we were talking about numbers that
Yeah.
were that were really, really low.
Yeah. We were looking in the numbers in like maybe like under 3, and the goal is to have more of the negative numbers. And
Yes.
pudding is positive
Oh.
85.
Woo. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
uh, there's not
I'd
room
say
for
no.
JellO or pudding. So,
I,
or
I don't I
JellO.
don't think it's
Does JellO work? JellO's maybe okay. as an
JellO is different.
alternative?
It's yeah. So pudding is like we're looking at like a milk-based
Yeah.
product. JellO or gelatin, I don't remember. I don't think I have it for Prowl. That one is a little bit better from my. Ooh, I just lost
Oh,
my earbud.
only one. You're good. Stick out the other.
um, let's see. So for gelatin, it would be another thing that I would say like if you really like it, then it could be something to have. It's essentially negligible in potassium. There's like no potassium. It does have a little bit of protein in it. Depending on the nutrition information, it may or may not have phosphorus in it. So that would be something. But I mean, it hopefully I'm not ruining this for people, but for those who don't know, gelatin is made out of like bones. So
Hmm.
it is probably going to be high in phosphorus because phosphorus is stored in our bones. I can't imagine something to be made with it to not have phosphorus. Just like we talked about before, how animal meats have potassium because animals have potassium. So I think that would be another one to just be kind of careful of.
Yeah. Okay. Were there any comments that you saw that you wanted to touch on before we run out of time? We are quickly approaching the top of the hour.
Yeah, it went by really fast.
And while you're looking, I want to answer a couple other questions. Some people said, when's Dr. Rowe going to be back? His mother passed away, so he's taking a little bit of time
Oh,
off. He'll be back on November 4th. And he's doing well, all things considered.
oh, I have, okay, there's a good one that Diane asked. She said, my doctor won't recommend a kidney doctor because I'm 3A and it's normal for an older patient. Should I insist on a kidney doctor? Just so you know, typically nephrologists don't get recommendations or people aren't referred to nephrologists until stage 4 or stage 5. So, stage 3, especially if you're older, because there is age related kidney
Mhm.
decline. And that could be that your adjusted GFR is in the normal range. Um, what could be really helpful, because the doctor might say your kidneys aren't at that point yet, what could be really helpful is seeing a dietitian. And it doesn't have to be a renal dietitian, working with a dietitian to just make sure your nutrition is really on point and you're doing everything you can to keep your kidney function where it's at. That is the golden ticket, honestly. And I'm totally biased and I say this all the time, but really, we can do so many things to help with your nutrition, and you might not ever need to see a nephrologist because your kidney health is great. Actually, one of our students in the Plant Powered Kidneys course just told the group last week about how her nephrologist is basically signing off to say everything's great, you're doing really really well, you can go back to your primary doctor because they've been taking care of things earlier on. So I think focusing on nutrition is going to be a really, really good opportunity for you because yeah, they're not going to because the thing is for stage 3, a nephrologist is going to just monitor. They're not really going to do too much. They're just going to say, let's just ride it out. Let's just see what happens. And that, that's a waste of your time and they're going to see it as a waste of their time too, unfortunately.
Yeah. And focusing on your health, eating healthy, staying active. It's great for your entire body, not just your kidneys.
Hmm.
All right. That pretty much takes us past the top of the hour, Jen. Thank you so much for sharing this information tonight. Perfect timing with all these holidays right around the corner. Oh my goodness. I love this time of year. Not because
Hmm.
of the candy, though I used to. I just love all the holiday, all the lights, the singing, the music. I can't wait for Christmas music. I am listening to it here at home, just not in the car yet. And my kids are listening to it. We jumped
Oh,
on the
so good.
bandwagon early. We're like, yay!
That's great. We're going on a to a murder mystery dinner party for Halloween. I'm
Ooh,
really excited.
very cool. All right, for
Yeah.
everyone else, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the Dadvice TV YouTube channel and make sure check out plantpoweredkidneys.com. Link to the blog article and the things we discussed today is in the description. Also, check out the Plant Powered Kidneys Facebook group. You're going to find lots of great information, support, and positivity there. All right, everybody, this is the only video for this week. I will be back next week. I think we have 2 shows next week. Woohoo! All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Be safe, be healthy, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.